Welcome back to MMA Al Dente. I am here to talk about Chris Weidman versus Bruno Silva. Chris Weidman's one of the best middleweights of all time. He's the world champion who beat Anderson Silva, had a pretty good run, and I'm pretty sure he's a shoo-in for the Hall of Fame. Uh, I don't know if he should be fighting here, but I know I respect the fuck out of him for even being here in the first place. I mean, I was saying the same shit when he fought Brad Tavares, but he shouldn't be fighting. But he is fighting because he had a few years taken away from him there, and that's not how he wanted to end things. Of course, I'm talking about when he broke his leg in 2021, throwing a kick that was checked against Uriah Hall, which I guess I have to bring up. Same shit happened to Anderson Silva when he fought Chris Weidman in their rematch. But Weidman is here. I'm sure he's taking this very seriously, and even though he looked tough against Brad Tavares, I know that's not how he wanted to look, and I'm sure he's planning on winning this fight. I know he's seen Bruno Silva's fights. Bruno, despite looking more vulnerable as of late with his chin, he's the guy that stood up to Alex Pereira for 3 rounds, but since then, he's been submitted by Gerald Mearshart and by Brendan Allen. And in both those fights, he was nearly knocked out. So he's starting to look a little more vulnerable, but his main vulnerability is his submission defense, so to speak. By that, I mean most of his losses and every one in which he's been finished comes by submission. And the thing is, they're all to good submission artists. They may not all be the best fighters, but they're very good submission artists, and they're all pretty damn good fighters, too. And Chris Weidman is a beast of a grappler, even though he's got more TKOs than submissions. He's a beast of a grappler, and if he's able to get himself his big, strong body on top of Bruno Silva in the middle of a grueling fight, a submission is very much on the table, kind of like it was against Kelvin Gastelum 5 years ago, whatever. I think I was at that fight, UFC Long Island. I think that was his last win, Chris Weidman. Although maybe he was against Omari Akhmedov. But either way, those are his only 2 victories since losing the title. And he hasn't looked good since that first loss to Rockhold. He's looked more vulnerable. He's been knocked out in just about every one of the losses, aside from Brad Tavares and Uriah Hall, if you want to get technical about it. But he's only looked more vulnerable. He's certainly knockoutable. I'd say he does have one of the weaker chins. And again, I'm aware the guys that knocked him out were Yoel Romero and Dominic Reyes and Jacare. I was at that fight as well. And these are beasts. And Chris was taken around from every one of them, aside from Dominic Reyes. So he's still a sharp technical fighter, but he's just got that glaring weakness. And he had it before he got his leg broken. Now he's got the broken leg as well. And he's also almost 40 years old. So he's got some major strikes going against him here. 3 strikes.
Let me tell you a couple of 3 things.
And Bruno Silva, despite being a guy who's only looked more vulnerable himself, he's a guy that has serious danger. 20 knockouts in his 23 wins. We've seen the power at the UFC level. Countless wins. And by countless, I mean like 4 of them or something. I don't know. But all knockouts. Brad Tavares, most impressively with the knee. Then he went on a 3-fight winning streak with all knockouts. Wellington Turman, Andrew Sanchez, deep into the fight. He's got that power. And if he has an opportunity to hit Chris Weidman, whether it's on the ground or on the feet, I think he can put him out, and I think he will. I hope I'm wrong. And also on the feet, I think he's going to be looking to chop at the legs of Chris Weidman. Who wouldn't be? And I don't know if he's going to be as sharp as Brad Tavares, but Bruno Silva is pretty damn good at kicking range himself. So I think Bruno Silva wins this fight. I think Chris Weidman would have to hurt Bruno Silva or just have that wrestling there for him where he's a beast like he was in his athletic prime and is able to rip Bruno Silva to the mat repeatedly. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't know if Chris has the legs for that. And on the feet, I think he's just going to be a little too slow to turn things around against Bruno. and it's going to be Bruno's fight. He's going to knock Chris out. That's my prediction, and it is my bet. Really, the under was my bet. It was at plus 130. Now it's at minus 110 for under a round and a half, which I don't really love. I never really love under a round and a half unless it's CM Punk versus Mickey Gall at minus 300. Then I'll put my fucking life on the line. But I do think still that Bruno Silva knocks him out, and it does happen in the first half of the fight. I'll wait for the props to open. Maybe something will be juicy. But at this point, I just put a few small bets on the under, and I'm going to be hoping that I'm wrong and Chris Weidman wins with a third round arm triangle. Like, share, subscribe, all that horse shit, and check out my other videos.